I never thought a simple favor would spiral into a situation so intoxicating that it consumed every part of me. But here I was, standing in front of the mirror, twisting a delicate silver ring around my finger. Not because I was engaged, but because I was pretending. It had all started as a ridiculous, impulsive idea. My best friend, Lily, was planning her engagement party, and she insisted I bring a date. Naturally, I panicked. I didn't want to go alone, and the idea of my crush, Ethan, seeing me standing there solo felt like social suicide. Ethan, the tall, confident, and impossibly handsome man I'd admired from afar for years, had no idea how I felt. And now, by some insane twist of fate, he was standing behind me in my bedroom, smirking as he adjusted his tie. "You really think we can pull this off?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly, though I tried to sound casual. Ethan's dark eyes flicked to mine in the mirror, his lips curling into that signature, teasing smile that always sent shivers down my spine. "Of course we can. We'll be the perfect couple, charming, dazzling, believable." He stepped closer, and the warmth radiating off him made my heart stutter. "Besides," he murmured, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face, "the more we act like this, the more fun it gets." I swallowed hard. His proximity was dangerous. Every nerve ending in my body seemed to buzz, attuned to his presence. "Fun, huh?" I whispered, trying to sound nonchalant, though my pulse betrayed me. "Yes," he said, his voice dropping slightly, almost intimate. "I think you'll find that pretending can be thrilling." And that's when it began, the slow, dizzying pull between us. At first, it was just practice holding hands in public, leaning together to pose for photos, laughing at inside jokes that didn't exist yet. But even in those small, casual touches, the electricity was undeniable. His hand brushed mine as we walked through the crowded streets to Lily's party, and I felt the warmth linger far longer than necessary. "Keep your hand relaxed," he whispered when our fingers tangled. "You're gripping too tightly. It's supposed to look natural." I nodded, though my heart was hammering against my ribs. Natural.
Right.
Nothing about this was natural. By the time we arrived, I was on edge, my body humming with anticipation and tension. Ethan leaned in to whisper in my ear as we stepped inside, "Remember, pretend means pretend, unless you want it not to be." His words, casual as they seemed, ignited a blush that spread hot across my cheeks. The night was a blur of laughter, compliments, and stolen glances. Every time Ethan's fingers brushed mine, I felt my knees weaken. Every time his lips curved into that charming smirk, my pulse leapt. And every time he whispered something just for me, my mind spun with dangerous, delicious fantasies. At some point, we ended up on the balcony, away from the crowd, the cool night air doing little to calm the fire that had been building between us all evening. Ethan leaned against the railing, his hand brushing lightly against mine, and I realized I was trembling. "You're thinking too much," he said softly, his gaze locking onto mine with a heat that made my stomach clench. "You're beautiful when you forget yourself." I swallowed hard, words catching in my throat. I had imagined this countless times, close moments with him, lingering touches, stolen kisses, but reality was infinitely more potent. "Ethan," I began, my voice barely audible, "we're just pretending. We can't." He cut me off by sliding his hand to the small of my back, pulling me just slightly closer. "Pretending doesn't mean my body can't respond," he murmured, the warmth of his chest against mine sending a shiver through me. And then it happened. One fleeting, reckless movement, a brush of lips that started as a playful peck but deepened with unspoken urgency. My mind screamed, my body burned, and suddenly, all boundaries blurred. What had been a game, a harmless charade, became dangerously, deliciously real. I pulled back slightly, gasping, my fingers tangling in his hair. "Ethan, this is real," he whispered, finishing my sentence for me, his lips tracing mine again. "And I don't want it to stop." My pulse raced, my heart threatening to explode. I should have resisted. I should have reminded myself of the rules. But every rational thought dissolved under the weight of desire, under the thrill of finally being this close to him. Hours passed like minutes as we navigated this new, intoxicating territory. Every touch was electric, every whispered word a temptation. The line between pretending and reality blurred completely until I could no longer tell where the game ended and genuine longing began. The next few days were a blur of stolen glances and carefully orchestrated public displays. Every time we went out together, even for something as mundane as picking up coffee, I felt like I was walking a tightrope. One misstep and all my carefully hidden feelings would tumble out. Ethan, of course, seemed completely at ease, his teasing smile always just a little too knowing. He had this way of brushing against me, lightly pressing a hand to mine, or leaning just close enough that my heart leapt, and I was powerless to resist. It was maddening, intoxicating, and utterly thrilling. "You know," he said one afternoon as we walked through the park, our fingers intertwined for practice. "We're getting dangerously good at this." I glanced at him, narrowing my eyes playfully. "Dangerous? How so?" "Because pretending is starting to feel real," he murmured, his gaze darkening in a way that made me shiver. "And I don't want to stop." I laughed nervously, trying to play it off, but my cheeks betrayed me with heat.
"Ethan, it's just an act."
"That's all." He stopped walking and turned to face me, tilting my chin up with his fingers. "Is it? Are you sure?" The intensity in his eyes made my breath catch. "Because I can feel it. You can feel it too. Don't lie to me." And I couldn't. Not anymore. Every time he touched me, every time he whispered something just for me, every time our fingers brushed and lingered, my body responded. My heart raced. My mind spun. Pretending had ceased to be a game. That night, after Lily's party, we found ourselves alone in my apartment. I had intended to remain professional, to keep things innocent, but Ethan had other plans. He leaned against the doorway, his gaze sweeping over me with an intensity that made me weak in the knees. "You know," he said softly, taking a step closer, "I've been thinking about us a lot more than I should." I swallowed hard, the air thick with tension. "Ethan, we can't." "Can't what?" His voice was low, husky, laced with something dangerous. "Hold back."
"Pretend?"
"I think we already crossed that line the moment we kissed on the balcony." He closed the distance between us, and suddenly, I was pressed against him, his hands on my waist, pulling me close. My heart pounded, and my entire body trembled with desire. "Ethan," I whispered, my voice barely audible. His lips found mine again, this time with a need that made my knees weak. It wasn't just a kiss, it was a claim, a promise, an acknowledgement of the feelings we'd been suppressing. My hands found their way to his chest, feeling the hard muscle beneath his shirt, and I gasped as his tongue traced mine, exploring, demanding, claiming. We stumbled back into the living room, our bodies pressed together, hearts racing, breaths mingling. His hands roamed over me, teasing, testing boundaries I had longed for but never dared to cross. Every touch sent waves of heat through me, making it impossible to think clearly. "Ethan," I whispered again, voice trembling. "This isn't pretend anymore." He pulled back just enough to look into my eyes, his own dark with desire. "I know," he said simply. "And I want it to be real." And then he kissed me again, slower this time, more deliberate. I melted into him, letting go of all control, all hesitation. Clothes became a distant memory as we explored each other, our bodies pressed together, hands roaming, mouths claiming. Every gasp, every moan, every shiver of pleasure blurred the line between fantasy and reality. Hours passed in a haze of passion and whispered confessions. Ethan's touch was electric, igniting every nerve ending in my body. Every kiss was a promise, every caress a declaration. By the time we collapsed, tangled in the sheets, sweat-slicked and breathless, I realized that what had started as a game had turned into something infinitely more profound. We lay there, bodies entwined, hearts pounding, the air thick with desire and newfound love. Ethan's fingers traced lazy circles on my back, and I rested my head against his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heart beneath my ear. "I can't believe this," I whispered, my voice raw with emotion. We started pretending, and now I don't want it to end. He smiled softly, pressing a gentle kiss to my temple. Neither do I. Pretend was just the beginning. This is real. And I'm not letting it go. The following days were a whirlwind of stolen moments, secret touches, and whispered words of affection. Public appearances became thrilling games of restraint, each glance, each brush of fingers sending shivers down my spine. And privately, we explored the depths of our passion, learning every curve, every sigh, every hidden desire. Eventually, the charade of engagement faded into the background, replaced by genuine love and unbridled passion. Pretending had given us the courage to embrace what we truly felt, and now, nothing could hold us back. Our love was fiery, consuming, and real, born from a playful lie but grown into something undeniable, something neither of us could imagine living without. And as I rested against him that night, our bodies entwined, I realized that sometimes the best things in life start with a little pretense before turning into something far hotter, far deeper, and far more real than anyone could have anticipated.